Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, as you all know, I loathe Ron DeSantis. I think Florida has become a vile cesspool of hate and bigotry. There are good people there, unfortunately, who many of whom are trapped. So I feel bad for them, but I have to be honest and give credit where credit is due, and I want to share some positive announcements from Margaritaville. Never thought I'd say this. You're probably not going to hear me say it very often, but Florida actually passed some beneficial laws that I think should be implemented throughout the country. So, one bill was inspired, sadly, by the tragic death of a young woman named Gabby Petito. This was in 2021. If you're unfamiliar with this case, Petito was murdered by her fiance, Brian Landry. They were on a cross country trip together. They were documenting their trip on YouTube. So the online world just became, totally suspicious. Everybody was up in arms because Landry and Petito just stopped posting videos online. And then Landry returned home to Florida without Petito, and he refused to answer any questions about where she was. So he then went missing, like I think it was weeks later. And then he was eventually found dead by suicide. And Landry admitted that he killed Petito. They found a journal with his body, and he admitted that he killed her. And in the weeks following her disappearance, it came out that the police had been called to the scene of a domestic violence incident involving Landry and Petito. So this was in August of that year, before she passed away. Or before he murdered her. A passerby had called the police. They reported witnessing Landry and Petito in some sort of physical altercation on the side of the road. And when the police got there, Petito was in tears. She had visible marks on her, but instead of taking Landry into custody, they put Petito up in a hotel for the night, so they could basically allow the couple, as they explained it, to cool down. And body cam footage showed that the police were talking amongst themselves and just totally downplaying her experience. So days later, after this incident with the police, at a state park, Landry apparently strangled her to death. It was avoidable. It was a tragedy that did not have to happen. Ended with the death of two young people because the police do not take domestic violence seriously. So this new law requires officers to ask a series of 12 questions to try to identify when a victim or others in the family might be at greater risk of death or injury. So the questions include things like, did the aggressor ever threaten to kill you or your children? Has the aggressor ever choked you or attempted to choke you? Did the aggressor ever use a weapon against you or threaten you with a weapon? And depending on how the victim answers, how many they score yes or no to and which ones, the officers might be required under this new law to direct the victim to a domestic violence shelter. So this is a good first step, in my opinion. It's not, as good as it could be, especially coming from someone who grew up in a home with domestic violence. I don't think it goes far enough at all. But like I said, it's a good first step. But the next bill I'm even more excited about because I think it does address things. Not that I don't think the last one is important. I think it's vital, but it just, like I said, it doesn't go far enough. So the next bill that they passed is HB 1540. It increases registration requirements and penalties for sick SOBs who exploit children. And what it does is it allows more evidence to be introduced to juries in cases that involve child sex crimes. So the bill now requires that child sex offenders not only register themselves in the national database, but they also have to register their vehicles or any vessels that they own in the Florida database. So this is important because a lot of times these child predators fall off the radar. No one knows where they are. They just vanish. So this gives law enforcement one more way to track them. And in addition, the bill allows law enforcement, or provides them with a grant to fund online sting operations and to find and prosecute child predators. So I've always said, we will prosecute financial crimes far more aggressively in this country than we do sexual assault crimes. And it absolutely has to change. What does it say about our values in this country when a sexual predator will get a year or two in jail for completely destroying the life and the psyche of their victim, but then we send people to prison for 10 years or more for a financial crime like tax evasion? I guess it's the perfect representation of our current for-profit capitalization, capitalism, greed is good society that we live in. Is pathetic. So anyway, like I said, not going to give Florida a lot of credit very often, but on these bills and these laws in this respect, they 100% are on the right path, have done the right thing. So I give credit where credit is due. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.